Continuing on Fantasy Football 2013, I'm Brett Norton. Going to take a look at the Washington Redskins now. Redskins, from a fantasy perspective, probably achieved as much as their talent level would allow them to last year. And as such, you're probably going to see a little bit of a backslide and some disappointment from some fantasy fans. Starting with a quarterback, Robert Griffin III, RG3, was everything that everyone said he would be. He completed almost 66% of his passes, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He ran for over 800 yards. He ran for 7 touchdowns. But he also took a lot of damage. Of course, he tore up his knee. Went through reconstructive surgery in the off season. He's not going to play in the preseason, but he's just too talented to not consider drafting. And as I mentioned with Cam Newton, this is a guy you can get 40 or 50 picks later than Cam Newton, and I just don't see why that would be the case. Don't expect Griffin to run nearly as much. He's probably going to have his yards cut to closer to 500 than almost 800 or over 800. But that still doesn't mean he can't have 6 or 7 rushing touchdowns on the season. I think he'll throw more, especially if his receivers stay healthy, and is a certain quarterback one. He slides into the back half of that group, and again is going to be available at around 6, maybe 7, and that's where a lot of the first round or top quarterbacks are going to go. So after the Breezes and Newtons and Rodgers go in the first 3-4 rounds, I think you're going to see a lot more quarterbacks taken in round 6 or 7 that are a step below there, but are all lumped into the deepest position in fantasy football. At running back, they got Alfred Morris, and he's probably the biggest candidate I'd have for backsliding on the season. He's not a breakaway threat. He certainly ran very solidly last year. I think he's going to put up solid numbers again, but not fantasy one running back type numbers. He's certainly a second-round pick. I wouldn't consider him in the first. I would even consider him in the back half of the second. And you might even take a player like a Lamar Miller or a David Wilson as a flyer before you take Robert Morris. I think, again, he maxed his talent level, and he doesn't have anywhere to go but down from here. So even if he has a solid NFL season, from a fantasy perspective, he might not be all that terrific. Wide receivers, you have Pierre Garçon. He had a great rapport with RG3 during the preseason, and then managed to get himself hurt in the beginning of the season. I think you should see him as a top flight receiver for the Redskins, assuming he can stay healthy. They do have Santana Moss on there as well. Moss had a terrific season. Look for him to be a solid receiver pickup as well. Both of those guys are not in the top echelon of receivers, but should be available in rounds 8, 9, 10. Moss may go a little bit earlier than that, simply because he's more of a touchdown threat than Garçon. Fred Davis is the tight end, and you've heard me say this multiple times. The tight end position is full of okay but not great players. Fred Davis is yet another example of that. Look for matchup situations for Davis. Otherwise, take him in round 13. You'd certainly have a great tight end at that point in time. But when everyone else is stretching for tight ends, just know you're always going to be able to find a tight end in for one-game situations off of your waiver wire. The kicking game is kind of a mess for the Redskins. Kickers tend to go hot and cold one year to the next. I would look for the Redskins to kick enough field goals, so that might be a consideration to draft a kicker. But you really have to see who the kicker is going to be, and just be aware that last year they had a lot of problems, and hopefully this year they'll be a little bit better there. The special teams is solid for the Redskins, but not a great special teams group. The defense is the same way. They do play the Giants, they play the Eagles, they play the Cowboys a couple of times, so they play some decent passing teams. and look for the Redskins to maybe get some interceptions, but I wouldn't really consider their defense. So from a fantasy perspective, RG3, if you can get him in round 6, you've got a good quarterback. In round 7, you've got a great one. At running back, Alfred Morris, he's going to go in the second round. Hopefully he'll go late in the second for you from a fantasy perspective, because then he'll be a little bit more value than he would be if you took him earlier in the draft. At wide receiver, you've got Garcon and Moss, who are both good but not spectacular, both draftable anywhere from round 7 to 10. Tight end is Fred Davis. Again, he's one of a number of guys that can be lumped in together as good but not great. Defense, special teams, and the kicking game, I really wouldn't worry about for the Redskins at all.